Hey nail sisters, welcome back to my channel. So in today's video, it's going to be about how to prevent your nails from popping off. If you ever wondered why your nails can never last more than a week or 4 days, then some of these tips will definitely help you, even though there are definitely more. So the first thing that you want to do is you want to always prep your nails. Prep is very important. This is where majority of the nails lift/pop off. You want to use a cuticle pusher to push back your cuticles. So here I'm showing the tools that you can use, and I'm going to start off using a cuticle pusher. This is to push back your cuticles to expose the dead skin that sits underneath the living skin. So this helps to prevent lifting. This step is very crucial, and if you miss this step and you rush through it and you don't get all of that cuticle, then this will definitely cause your nails to lift really fast. So the next thing that I'm doing is going in with a diamond cuticle bit to clean up the rest of the dead skin. I'm using a safety ceramic bit, and the key when using this is to go at the cuticle, not using your bit on top of the cuticle. So I hope that makes sense, because if you don't do it in the right angle and direction, you're really not removing any dead cuticles. And you can see here how I'm showing that white stuff that is there is the dead skin. And I am doing this very gently. Again, you have to make sure that you go directly at the cuticle. It's not like on top of the cuticle. And this is definitely, like I said, important, to understand how to use these bits, and the right bit for the right service. So if I'm doing gel manicure, then I may use this bit. If I do acrylic or soft gel, then I may use a different bit. So the next thing that I'm doing is I'm going in with this diamond ball bit to remove the rest of the cuticle. Now, again, if you leave any cuticles on the nail plate around the corners or the sides, this is where the nails is probably going to lift. So you can see here how I'm pointing out that there's still dead skin there, and these corners is where you're going to have that lifting. So again, this step is very crucial, where most of the problems arise, and especially if the product gets near that dead skin. So here, if you have anything left, you can go in with some cuticle nippers, and I'm showing here how I'm comparing the left hand to the right hand. You can see how the cuticle has been removed, and we have pushed back the skin for the product to be applied. So the next thing is using the wrong grit of file. You want to use a file on your natural nail that is 100 to medium grit sanding band. Never use anything sulfur like a 240 to prep the natural nail. So here I'm showing, if you don't prep correctly using this, even with your file, and you miss a certain area, this area is probably going to cause lifting. So you can see how one part is shiny and then the other part is kind of like a little dusty. So this is definitely important, so go in and take your time and make sure to get every area, every corner's side, so that none of the nails have a chance to lift. So the next thing when prepping is you also don't want to use any oils after this application. You know how they say, they put the oil on when you go to the nail salon, and then they say go wash your hands. So after they put the oils, all of this can cause popping off with the nails, especially when you go to use soap, as well as that has the oils in it, but as well before the application. So we're trying to get rid of the oils, dirts, all of that. So we don't want to work backwards. Again, the reason why we're prepping, we're trying to remove the oil shine so that the products can actually adhere better to the nail plate for longer wear. And the reason that we're trying to remove any oils, moisture, water, debris is because if any of those things are still on the nails, these things can prohibit the primer or bonder from working correctly. The next thing is that can cause popping off with your nails is that the tip that you choose, whether you're doing gel-X, acrylic, sculpting, all of these, you can see here that there is a gap. If you don't pick the correct size of your nail tip. You want it to fit from one side walls to the other side. You don't want to have any gap. If you can see your nail that is exposed, that means it's too small. If it's running over the skin, like you can see here, then it's too big. But you'd rather go with the bigger size and then just file it down so that it doesn't pop off, because if it's too small, it's going to cause a lot of pressure on that nail. And again, that will definitely cause popping. So the next tip is not prepping the tip. And here I'm showing how this tip is contaminated. And what this means is if any of your products are contaminated before even using it, then it's no good. It's going to definitely cause all types of lifting and all of that. So you want to make sure to prep that nail if you're doing gel X. Here I'm showing how you want to go in, use your file to take away the shine, and I'm like filing the sides to make sure that it fits perfectly. And I was showing there how that cuticle area, my cuticle is like more like a round, so I'm shaping it in that direction. So again, I'm using a medium sanding band. And let's say that you're prepping for gel X. You're going to go in and prep that nail the same way that you would prep your natural nail, the same way with like the dehydrator, the bonder, and the primer. So using your file to etch the inside of your nail tip is the same thing as if you are doing it on your natural nail plate. So here I'm showing how if you use your file too aggressively as well, especially around the sides of the tip, I'm going to show in a second how you're going to see how there will be a crack in that nail tip. And if you miss that and you go ahead and apply it, this will probably cause lifting right in that area. I just showed you where that crack was, because if you're using, whether you're using a file or e-file, if you're using it too aggressively, it can cause lifting. Here I'm showing how you want to make sure that you remove all the dust off. Make sure you get all the dust. Now, when it comes to this, I don't play about the dust. The dust is going to be gone. If you leave dust, it can cause lifting. Here I'm showing how you can take a nail brush and go down the nail, not across, because you want the dust to come downward in a down direction. Again, if you leave any of this, it will cause lifting. So the next thing is make sure that you use a bonder, primer, or a dehydrator. Now, the dehydrator helps to remove the oil, and the bonder and primer helps to adhere the product with your natural nail. Now, make sure that you use a lint-free wipe if you're going to do this. Some people will use a product where it has vitamin E. You never want to use anything like this to try to remove any oils. Is going to put oil back in it. Some people even use isopropyl alcohol, but this is only 50%, so this is definitely not going to dehydrate the nails, especially if it's not 100%. And I still don't really like using that because you kind of take a chance. Some people, you can use like swipe and use your brush to put it on there and take away the dust that way. But I like to just go in with the actual product, which is, I'm going to show a picture. It's going to be the pH bond, and this helps to automatically do both. It helps to remove the oils and dust, and also it changes the pH of the nail so that the product can remove all the oil. So down with your nails. Here, if you're going to remove it, don't go back in after this, because it's going to apply oil back to the nails. The next thing is, if you smooth out that surface before you apply the, let's say, gel product or gel polish or gel X, this is definitely not going to stick. Like, gel needs something to stick on. So again, this is going to definitely cause popping and lifting as well. So let's say that you buffed the shine off, you went straight in with your tip, you didn't add anything to adhere the tip, no primer, no bonder to your natural nail. This is going to definitely pop off in a few days. So make sure to prep your natural nail and the tip as well. Now, at this point, let's say that you're trying to do a gel manicure, you go in, you use your medium grit file, and then you go in and smooth out the surface after you have done all your prep. And, you know, let's say you go in with a bunder, you go in with your dehydrator, you did all of that, and you get ready to go in with your base coat. What's going to happen is at this point, it's going to probably chip, lift, peel, because again, the gel doesn't have anything to actually attach and stick to. You know, it's going to make these products not attach very well to the product and your natural nail plate. So the next thing is using the wrong product. I cannot stress this enough. The key is to not use the same products that you use for different services, which means the type of service that you do will depend on the type of product that you use. So when I'm doing gel manicure, I may use this IBD bunder, and then I may use like the Young Nails protein bun on the tip of the nails if there's a client who has, you know, chipping. But I'm not going to use these products for acrylic. You know, these products work totally different for acrylic, for gel manicure, for soft gel, builder gel. So knowing which products to use for the service is definitely key. Now here I'm showing how this I'm going to probably use for acrylics. Now some products will have both, where you can use, you know, both for like that set acrylic and UV, but not all products are like that. So definitely check that out to make sure if you can or if you can't. And some people will use like a tip glue to apply their Gel-X. Again, this product is going to work totally different. I would suggest using the tip glue for if you're using press-ons where you're not going to be wearing it for a long time. You know, when you're doing Gel-X, you want something a little bit strong to, you know, adhere and attach it for a long-lasting wear. The next thing is if your nails don't have a strong foundation, especially if you have thin nail beds, then this definitely, it doesn't matter, it will definitely pop off. Or if the product you applied is not properly applied from the beginning, you know, you have to have a strong foundation to support that nail. If you apply any of the products, you know, whether you're doing acrylic, gel manicure, Gel-X, soft gel, builder gel, if you apply it incorrectly and it doesn't have a strong foundation with the good apex, all of that from the beginning, it doesn't matter, it's going to pop and lift off. So even if you do all the prep work and all of that, if you don't have a strong foundation, it's just like a house, it's going to basically crumble and fall apart. This is why if I have a new client, you know, I make sure to let them know, like, I can look at your nails and tell your nails are very thin and fragile, and, you know, Gel-X may not be the best option for you because Gel-X is not intended for everyone. You know, is the structure of how someone's nails is. Like I said, if they have really thin nail beds, all of that is going to cause the nail to become really brittle and weak in those areas, and it can definitely lead to lifting as well. So making sure to have a strong foundation from the beginning is going to help you in the long run with any lifting. The next tip is over dehydrating the natural nail. So sometimes with acetone, it can definitely over dehydrate the natural nail, especially if you're doing like a gel manicure. So definitely be careful with that. I'm showing here how if you're using any type of bunder or primer, you don't want to get it close to the skin. Not only can this cause allergic reaction, and you know, a little definitely goes a long way. So you don't want to use a lot, you know. And then also when applying it, I'm showing here how you want to start not close up near the cuticle, but you want to like place it and then kind of like go down the nail. And more primer doesn't lead to more adhesion. This will also cause over dehydration as well. The next thing that can cause popping off is not using the right amount of product or using too much product. So this can work against you if you're using too much product on your natural nails or a tip. All of that can have a reverse reaction just as much as if you over remove the nail. So here I'm showing, like, for example, if you're doing gel-X or a gel manicure, you have to pick up the right amount of product when you're applying it, because if not, if there's too much product on one side or in the middle, a lot of times this can definitely lift on that side because due to the structure. So here, the next thing that I'm showing, let's say, for example, you're using builder gel and you go to apply your product. You start at the top, but if you don't use the right amount, you'll see in a second, like, one side will look a little lumpy and leaning to one side, and it won't look very symmetrical. If you use the wrong amounts, like I said, even if you are polishing with gel or you're using builder gel, and if you put too much on one side and not the other side, then this can definitely lead to lifting. If there's too much product for a small nail bed, it can also cause popping off, especially like the index finger. I know that that finger will tend to pop off easily because it's the most busiest, but if there's too much product, then it's just not going to last long. Like even here, if you apply too much of that gel close to that cuticle area, a lot of times this can lead to chipping and peeling in those areas. If you miss any areas, see on the sides, you can see how on the side it's missing some gel, and even like towards the top area. So make sure to turn the finger in all different directions, because this definitely helps you to see. It may look okay on one side, but then when you turn it, like here, you can see how I missed that area at the top, and that area is where it's going to start lifting. Even like if you used an acrylic brush and you take that brush and you swipe the sides, but if you're missing product in that area, it's going to lift in that area. So again, like I said, just turn the nail in all the different angles, directions, sides, because what may look, okay on one side may not be how the other side is. So that is definitely another tip, to prevent lifting and popping. And I don't know if I already said this, but you want to make sure to not get product around the cuticle area, because you don't want it to even touch the skin, as this can lead to lifting in that area as well. So you don't want to flood that area with any type of products. Also, another things that can cause lifting, you have to also look at, what is your body chemistry like? Or is your skin naturally oily? What are your natural nails like? There are a lot of many variables that go into this, of how to prevent lifting. You just have to find out what is it that's causing the lifting. If you have like maybe all your nails that pop off, then it definitely goes back to your prep. If there's maybe like, your busy finger, like your index and your thumb, then, it still can be a prep, but it may not always be the prep. It just may be other variables into that. The last thing that I want to mention that can cause lifting is if you mix and match different products. Some products don't work together, and this can definitely affect how the performance of that product actually works. So sometimes, depending on the products that you use, every company is different. So I know for me, if I use D&D with Novelty Gel Top Coat, I know that my clients may have peeling because the Novelty has that tacky layer, and you definitely have to wipe that off, and it's just not really compatible because the formula and the makeup. So it's not going to allow me to put that product on top of the D&D. Now, I do mix some of my brands depending on if they are compatible, but if you do mix ones that are not compatible with each other, again, this can lead to lifting, pilling, chipping as well.